Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
All right, so as we mentioned, there's Trump putting out an email because he can't tweet, making himself the victim in the death of Colin Powell. The fake news media treats him so beautifully. Hope they do the same with me. Blah, 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 blah. Colin Powell, by the way, for people who don't know, and apparently Trump's one of them, for people who don't know, Colin Powell was given all this information about WMDs by the intelligence agencies. And as Secretary of State, not the Director of National Intelligence, Colin Powell was asked to deliver this information and the speech at the UN, and he did. And had all this information. And by the way, there were a lot of people who believed that there are WMDs. I suspect there might have been. Still, yes, I do. I mean, I was here. We were reading and listening and studying all this stuff. There are people who did not believe, still don't believe. There are people who suspect. There are people who have a hardcore belief that there certainly was. I remember 2 colonels in Iraq being very specific about WMDs being moved to Jordan. And they did not ask to move to America. I thought, wow, okay, that sounds pretty strong. Colin Powell convinced me, and he was convinced by the intelligence community. Well, he has regretted that. He's always said he regrets that. And remember, he was also very cautious about this, too. Remember he said to President Bush, you break it, you bought it? You break it, you bought it. And what else did he say? He said, if you kill Saddam Hussein, you now own this country, all these millions of people, and I think the number was 17. It might have been 18, but I think he said, and 17 disparate and fighting provinces, and you're going to own this. I mean, he was reticent. So I think it's really, it's ignorant, and it omits a lot of history when Trump or anybody says, Colin Powell was responsible entirely for the war in Iraq. Not even considering the fact that he regretted that now infamous UN speech. So I thought that really sucked. And then you have over at NBC, again, people using this to try to make some political point of theirs, and Andrea Mitchell, who either misremembered or lied, because maybe she figures the vast majority of people who watch NBC won't go back and take a listen to Colin Powell's speech. Maybe she figures, like everybody who thinks of themselves more than others, all these narcissists, maybe in her own narcissistic way, she wanted to put herself into the story. I remember being there at the convention in 2000, and I remember when Colin Powell talked about affirmative action, and everybody booed. All those Republicans booed. Well, we played that for you on the air, and everybody cheered, and they applauded. They didn't boo. But there's Andrea Mitchell, uber left-winger, putting herself into the story and trying to make herself some kind of, hero or something? Joe Biden does this too in a different way. He'll tell a story of somebody else's valor, and then at the end he makes himself the hero of the story. It's narcissists. Incredible that they do this. Randy, you say you follow a guy on Twitter who's a political pundit and has how many followers?
I saw him on Twitter. I don't personally follow him, but 761,000 people follow him.
Okay, caution. That looks impressive. And you think, wow, 750 or 760,000, something like that? Yeah. You can buy followers. You can pay, yes. It's like a little cottage industry. You could pay people, and they get all these bots as well as some real people, and they follow. The more you pay, the more followers you get. I'm not saying that's what this guy has done. What I am saying is be cautious, because people have done that. Celebrities, when Twitter first came out and you learned that you could have a whole bunch of followers, and now people think you're a big deal because you have a whole bunch of followers, I got about 2,500, 3,000, I don't know, whatever it is. And I'm really not working it well enough to actually garner more followers. I have 2 Twitter accounts, actually. One's for the Jensen Show and one's for my voiceover work. So all told is about 5,000. Big deal. I don't go out and buy followers. But I would just say, be cautious of that. Now, there are some people who don't have to borrow followers, like Kim Kardashian, right? I may not care what she thinks about politics or anything. I thought it was pretty awesome that she could bend over and balance a champagne glass on her butt. I thought, well, that's impressive. Look at that big old butt. Well, you got a champagne glass there. Wait, you got a champagne. It's filled with champagne. I can see the bubbles. And you're bending over, and oh, look at that. You're balancing that on your butt. That's a very talented butt. Well done. And I could see why she would get 1 million people following just to watch her balance a champagne glass on her butt. Can you balance a champagne glass on your butt, Randy?
I cannot.
You know
I
what?
haven't tried it, though.
But you know why? And she's not even bent over all the way. She's like bent over just a little bit sideways, like probably at a 45-degree angle, because you don't have a bulbous butt. And I do believe that when it comes to Twitter and TikTok, you're going to get more followers if you indeed have a very bulbous butt. And if you can take that bulbous butt, and if you can balance a champagne glass on that bulbous butt, while it also has champagne in it, you're going to get a lot of followers, and you don't have to pay for any.
So you're saying if you look like you're bending over while you're standing erect, it's a good thing.
On Twitter, I'll bet on TikTok too. If she is twerking on TikTok, do a little TikTok twerking with her bulbous butt.
Yeah,
say that 10 times fast. TikTok twerking with a bulbous butt. TikTok twerking. I can't even do it. TikTok twerking with a bulbous butt.
Sounds like a Bloodhound Gang song.
Almost. So you're watching the Animal Planet.
Yeah.
That's the song, right? Yeah. So, yeah, they got millions of followers too, right? It doesn't mean that you actually have to know or say anything of any great import. It just means that you appeal in some way, and sometimes it's just a bulbous butt. So who's this guy you've been following on Twitter?
Okay.
And does he have a bulbous butt?
Well, this guy posted, Colin Powell didn't die because he was vaccinated. He died because you weren't. So this got reaction. I follow.
Of course it did.
Yeah, I follow a lot of libertarians, and libertarians follow me.
Yes.
And, this was exposed as like, this is insane. Now, the only thing I can make head nor tails out of it, if you want to go with the argument that the unvaccinated are filling the hospitals, I think that's the only leg you have to stand on.
Well, that is true.
You can't say I'm unvaccinated and gave someone vaccinated Twitter.
Right.
I'm calling BS on that.
Me too. Colin Powell passed away because he's elderly, 84 years old, and he was a severe risk for the worst case of COVID because he suffered from multiple myeloma. It's a blood cancer that shows. In fact, they've done studies on this, and studies have shown that if you have multiple myeloma, the shot in and of itself is less effective. So scientists, not science, but scientists are learning more and more about this all the time. And what they found is that of the people who had multiple myeloma, only 45% of patients with active multiple myeloma developed an adequate immune response after getting vaccinated with either Pfizer or Moderna. Only 22% of patients had even a partial response. So we're going to find that people who have certain immunology problems are going to always be more susceptible to a very severe case of COVID, even when you're vaccinated. That's what we're learning. The only person I ever heard say in public that if you get vaccinated, you're not going to get COVID is Joe Biden. He's the only one. I talked with immunologists last year. I talked with people who are virologists when we were shut in, right? During the lockdown. Remember, I had email exchanges with a Duke University professor. We had a guy on from Minnesota who became one of the advisors during the transition of the Biden administration, right? And we were quite surprised. Like, wait, this guy was on the show. He's an expert in virology and immunology, and he was on this program well over a year ago talking about this stuff. Next time and he's just like this guy. I was researching and reading, and he was this guy at Minnesota, University of Minnesota, who is considered a worldwide expert on this. Minnesota, right. And it turns out he is. And even he had said there's never any guarantee that even when you're vaccinated, you won't catch a virus. The key is to know how much protection you're going to get once you're fully vaccinated and for how long that protection will last. That's what he had said when we talked about this over a year ago. Biden's the only one I know of who said if you're fully vaccinated, you're not going to get you're not going to get COVID. And he's wrong. It was stupid. And this guy here, that's great that maybe he's got 760 followers, which is only a fraction of Kim Kardashian's bulbous butt followers. Maybe if he had a bulbous butt, he'd get more followers. But no, you don't know for a fact that he got it from somebody who's unvaccinated. It's likely, in fact, it's most likely that he got it from somebody who's unvaccinated. But it's also possible that he got it from somebody who is vaccinated within this 24-hour time frame, which scientists are now saying somebody who's vaccinated can be contagious. They're not necessarily contagious. We're not saying they are contagious. But what they're finding out is that for people who get both vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna, they are contagious. They are possibly contagious for about a day, as opposed to 4 or 5 days. But no one wants to hear that, man. Randy, no one wants to hear that. You know what they want to hear? Black and white, yes or no, good or bad, and that's it. And we don't want to have to think about things. We don't want to have any critical thinking because, damn it, if we did that, then the public schools would have to teach critical thinking. And you've got a couple of teachers out there who do this and try with the kids. But other than that, it's just too hard. Follow the rigors. Just follow the test. Test for the test. And then if you don't test well, then the teacher's bad. That's what they want to know. Black and white. We don't want any discussion. There's no in between. It's kind of like politics these days. There's no in between. It's either you're wrong because you're a lefty, you're wrong because you're a righty.
It's just weird when big celebrities who are vaccinated are saying, I hate to bring him up, but
go ahead.
All right, so Howard Stern, who I loved in the 90s and I never listened to him after 2002.
Exactly, but if you're going to do this, you should do it in Howard's voice. Because listeners say, Randy, that they love the way you imitate Howard Stern.
All right, well, Stern said this about Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Oh, well, first Stern said, and I'm doing this from memory, he's like, all right, F them, F their freedom, Robin. I want to be able to go next door and play chess, Robin. Well, why can't you go next door and play chess? If you're vaccinated, why can't you go next? Isn't your neighbor vaccinated? Or even if your neighbor's not vaccinated, couldn't you go see him and play chess if you're vaccinated? Why do you care what other people are doing? So then now he's back in the news again. There's a basketball player named Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. I don't follow sports at all, but apparently...
I do a little bit.
Okay. Apparently the guy refuses to get vaccinated, so I guess he's losing money by that. So Stern said this about him. The biggest idiot in the country right now, Robin. Talk about stupid. There's some people that are willing to walk away from millions of dollars and not get vaccinated. Now,
well, that doesn't mean he's stupid. That means that he has a core belief. So Stern's an idiot for saying that he's stupid because he's walking away from millions of dollars. Well, he doesn't want this experimental vaccine that's been that the FDA has approved in a record short period of time. I understand that. I do want the vaccine, and I got the vaccine, and I believe very, very strongly that everybody should get the vaccine, including you and everybody else. But not everybody has that strong belief, and I'm not going to call him a liar and an idiot for that. And it's kind of like saying these guys that own farms in Delaware that they don't want to take like $1 million or $5 million from a solar energy company to put like hundreds of acres of solar farm on top of their very, very good productive land where they're growing beans and corn and wheat. They're stupid. They're idiots because they won't accept the money from these big, energy companies to put solar farms on their land. No, they're not stupid. They're not idiots. They love what they do. They love the land. People like Stern, they don't get this. There are people who actually love what they do. And the fact that they make money at it is a bonus, So Irving, what was he? He was with the Cavaliers. I think he was like rookie of the year with the Cavs, right? This is a guy who loves what he does. And you can tell he loves what he does. And he just doesn't want to get the vaccine. So he'll give up millions of dollars. There are people I know that own farms here in Delaware that could get like $5-8 million from developers down along Route 1. and 13. And you know what? They don't want to sell it because they love what they do. They consider themselves to be one with the land.
Well, they're
not idiots.
That's one of the like he goes on and on. I won't bore you with it, but he goes on and saying what an idiot he is because he's losing these millions of dollars. You know what? Not everything is about money. Okay, and Howard's not helping the stereotype of his people by just trashing a guy who. He doesn't want to get it.
Stern himself, he sold out for millions of dollars. Of course, everybody wants to make millions of dollars. But after he got millions of dollars, went to Sirius, he sucks. It's not nearly what it was before for people who enjoyed that sort of thing. And I don't even know if a lot of people listen to him anymore. But I had, and I thought, well, you know what? He's changed. He's not any good anymore.
But, I mean, the basketball player clearly doesn't want to get it because he's probably hesitant. He's afraid of maybe what could happen 5 years down the road to everybody that gets it. And that's my hesitancy, too.
Yeah.
Because it's brandy new. I mean, it's been out less than a year. All the other vaccines have been out for decades. That's why some people, like myself, will get the flu shot, but I'm hesitant to get the COVID
And you got tetanus as well.
I did.
Yeah, I know.
And I went to public school. I had to get vaccinated for all that. So I did. But these are all vaccinations that were out for decades.
No, I understand. And all I can say to someone like this is I look you right in the eye, Randy, and I say, brother, I love you like a brother. And you look at the numbers, you look at the data, and you are much more likely to survive if you get the vaccine than not.
I understand that, but my issue is perhaps down the road they go, oh, well, then one of the ingredients in there gives you cancer, gives you brain cancer, gives you hemorrhage. Who knows? Who knows?
Right. So we continue to put alcohol and cigarettes and everything in our bodies. Well, we don't smoke anymore. Did you?
Oh, yeah. I smoked up till about 2005.
Me too.
I never smoked in front of my parents as a full-grown adult because they would just be I felt ashamed.
Oh, yeah?
Like they caught me when I was a little kid smoking. Not a little kid.
So, no, I remember.
Probably 14 or 15 smoking on their porch, and they were so upset.
Oh, really?
And they weren't upset
but wait,
because
did they smoke?
No.
They didn't smoke. Yeah, there you go.
They were upset because they were concerned about my health. It wasn't like an image thing or anything like that.
Yeah.
If they were fine for your health, they wouldn't care what I did. But they were concerned about me dying.
Yeah.
So they were really, really upset. So I was like, oh no, I don't smoke anymore. So I lied to them forever, saying I didn't smoke. I never smoked in front of them. And at one point, my father's dying on his deathbed in their house, and the whole family's there, just kind of. He's on hospice, his last final days. And my friend Chris goes, let's go out and have a smoke. I'm like hiding from my mom. He's like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Why are you still hiding from your mother? I'm like, the shame of it all.
Yeah.
So now both my parents are dead. So now I have no one to feel shame from. So I can be an open book here on the air about anything. And, but now I don't smoke cigarettes because they were killing me. So,
wow. That's quite the story, man. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I was like a 35-year-old.
I know, and you're trying to hide from mom and dad. Well, now, who got you started smoking?
When I went to East High School in Westchester, Pennsylvania, they called it, the principal, the teachers, the students all called it the smokers' court.
Yeah.
There was a court. It was the smokers' court.
The teachers, the kids.
Yeah, they could all smoke. I mean, you could run out in between classes where you have the 5 minutes to get to your next class, and they would and it was fine. No one got in trouble for it. They just openly smoked out there. And I, had a handful of friends, and one of them smoked, and I wanted to be cool, and I tried it. And, after you try one or two, then you get that little addiction in you.
Like a little buzz.
Next thing you know, you're a smoker.
That's pretty. That's amazing. See, I never did until I started working. I was like I started working when I was 14 years old. I think when I was about 15 or 16, I was working with these guys on houses, and I was the punk kid painter, but I was making $10 an hour.
That's a lot back then.
It's a lot of money back there.
Like 30 now.
Yeah, right. That's like 1970. Yes, I'm that old, and these guys, they were smoking. In fact, they were all like 40 years old, and they looked like they were 90 because they were smoking and drinking throughout the day. And this guy said, here, kid, you smoke? Nope. Well, Want to learn?
And you do see from
I
jobs,
did.
like that's where you get a break if you smoke.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly.
So you're like,
You
you
get a
might
break.
as well.
Go have a cigarette. If I can have a break, I have a cigarette. So like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and they're the ones who said, "Here, kid, you ever have a beer?" No. Well, it's lunchtime. Have a beer, kid. You know?
Ever see a grown man naked? You like gladiator movies?
All of a sudden, Leslie Nielsen joins in the conversation. Where did he come from? I thought he was dead. So, yeah, that's how I started. But, you know, it's so funny because your parents didn't smoke and you hid it from them. I stole cigarettes from my parents, you know. They're Viceroys. They're horrible, you know. So it got to the point where, like, I don't want to steal your cigarettes anymore. They're horrible. I want to go buy some Marlboros. Winston's, actually.
Both your parents smoked?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I went out and worked so I got money to buy Winston's because they smoked lousy cigarettes.
Tastes good like a cigarette should.
It does. Thank you, Barney. Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone endorse Winston cigarettes. We got to take a break. Coming up after the news at the top of the hour. So what's going on now with this moratorium on solar farms down in Kent County, you know, throughout Dover and Smyrna and all that kind of stuff? Well, we are told there's going to be a moratorium, but what does that really mean? Keep it here.
There's more Rick Jensen coming up on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.